Hi, and welcome to the Eat, Move, Groove podcast. I am your host, registered dietitian and wellness expert, Susie Kundrat. I highlight simple, positive, practical, and doable ways you can boost your well-being. I like to call it going from science to simple, based in solid science, but simple enough to put into practice on a daily basis. And when life gets in the way of your well-being, that's okay. Just take a deep breath and start simple with Eat, Move, Groove. Let's do this. Hi, everybody. It's Susie back here with the Eat, Move, Groove podcast. And I'm really excited to be here in Maine. It's beautiful here. And I'm going to be speaking with a friend that I think we've known each other for about 35 years.
Yep.
Believe it or not.
Over 30 at least.
Yeah, over 30. So I'm here with Kitty Broihier in her beautiful home here in Maine. And we're going to be talking about nutrition. Kitty's also a registered dietitian along with myself. And we're going to be talking about nutrition, but also some other things that I think are probably just as important.
Oh, easily,
which is being aware of your eating, mindful eating. And we're going to learn more about what you're doing along those lines. But I have to say, Kitty and I met when I was in my dietetic internship back in Boston at Beth Israel Hospital back in 1989. Our dear friend Julie Upton, who was my roommate, and also your roommate and friend from school from your undergrad days, connected us. And Julie has gone on to do amazing things, and I have learned so much from her through the years. And you came to Boston. Tell us first a little bit about why you came to Boston at that time and what you were doing.
Yeah. So I teach as well. I know you were a teacher as well, but I always tell my students that I did my internship, and within 2 weeks, I realized that I was not cut out for clinical work. And I immediately looked for graduate programs and ones that would allow me to talk to a wider audience.
Yes.
And that's really something I appreciate more and liked doing more. And I don't mean talk necessarily. It was mostly writing.
Yes.
And so I found a program, and Julie was in that program as well, for our graduate school, which was nutrition communications. And that was much more my niche and was fun.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was still making a difference. In fact, I thought I was making a bigger difference because I was reaching a bigger audience.
Right.
And it was fun.
and so that was at Boston University.
Yes. Yep.
And
then I went and worked in New York City at magazines. I was an editor at a magazine, and then I went into the food industry as a PR person. I just tried a whole bunch of things because, first of all, you got to make money, and then second of all, you want to explore all the facets of your chosen area of work, just to make sure you're in the right place.
Right. And I can remember I would open up a popular magazine, and there you would be writing an article about nutrition and health. And it was so exciting.
It was fun for me. It was very exciting for me too. And my mother. My mother was very proud.
I'm sure she was proud to open, and her friends, I'm sure, to open those up. But, nutrition communication is such an important part of what we do in the dietetics field too, because of, all the misinformation that's out there that, of course, we're combating all the time, but also making the science usable and simple and positive enough for people to do it, which is part of what fuels me as well,
Me too. I can tell from your book, from Eat, Move, Groove, the book, that we have a lot of similarities there, because if it's not practical, it's not going to get done. And so why bog people down with complicated regimens and questionable advice that's just not going to be applied?
Right.
There's no sense in it.
Right.
It just frustrates people.
Yes. Well, recently, Kitty wrote a wonderful article about fiber. because I reposted that on
Oh,
my
right.
Facebook page. And it's something I get a question about a lot, different kinds of fiber and the benefits of fiber. And I love fiber. I've been known as the fiber queen in the past.
Fiber is my jam. My students laugh so hard because when I used to teach general nutrition classes, I would get so excited when the fiber part came along.
I mean, it's the most amazing thing, and all the different kinds of fiber and the benefits of fiber.
Yeah.
We could go on and on about fiber. I suspect we shouldn't
Now,
take the
not
whole
fiber
time.
supplements per se.
Right.
Fiber in food. Not that fiber supplements are bad, but you can do it with food.
Right. One thing I really wanted to pick your brain on is you have done, all the writing you've done, all the PR work, and you've done so many different things. And I know you've landed with some of the work you're doing now around really supporting women in their nutrition journey, thinking about positive eating and mindful eating. And I'm curious, I know this is a big part, it's not just the nutrients, as we know, it's not just what's in the food and eating things because they're healthy for us, or it's not just about the makeup of the food. It's really a lot of it, I think, particularly for women, but it's a lot about what makes us feel good and being aware of our hunger and satiety and, being real positive with what we're eating and how we're feeling about our bodies. And so I'm really interested in what you're doing, first of all, with your Facebook group, and then also kind of maybe how you got into doing this kind of work.
Well, yeah. Okay. It's a big area to talk about, but it's interesting. I decided to go and get a mindful eating instructor certification because I was one of these people that spent my entire adult life worried about what I was eating, trying to constrain my eating, restrict my eating, make sure I'm getting this but not that. And it's so common with women that it's exhausting. And I think it was about when I turned a little bit, right around when I turned 50, maybe 51 or so. I was like, I looked at my food tracker in my phone and realized I had, almost a decade of tracking. And then when I compared, because you can compare a lot on those, I compared my starting weight with my ending weight. And there was only like a 7-pound difference.
Yeah, over all that time.
And I was so struck by the amount of turmoil all of that caused me, not to mention the headaches of weighing stuff and measuring stuff. And of course, I got really good at that. I didn't always have to do that. But when you're tracking for that length of time and you have only lost 7 pounds over those years, what does that tell you? For one thing, it tells you your body's pretty smart and it kind of knows where it wants to be.
Yes.
Secondly, it tells you that really didn't help you all that much. And, and then maybe thirdly, it was, why was I so upset about that? Because I never made any big difference over the time. So here I was at virtually the same weight. I was maybe one size different.
Yeah.
But so I decided, and I remember telling my husband, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm taking this off my phone and I'm going to go figure out how to get certified in this, because I knew what mindful eating is.
Yes.
So mindful eating, I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
But for those who don't, it's, the awareness of your hunger levels, your fullness levels, your body's responses to different foods, your thoughts regarding different foods. So it's kind of everything around the eating, but the food itself. It's really not so much about the food on your plate. It's about everything else that goes into your eating behaviors and motivations.
Yes.
And so that's really what mindful eating is. And to be able to tell people or help them figure out, how to not be afraid to eat, how to tune back into bodies that they might have been not listening to intentionally
Right.
for years and years and years, and therefore don't have strong signals anymore. How do you get that back? How do you navigate all of the things around distracted eating and diet culture, and all of that stuff is involved. So like you said, there's a lot to eating. It's not just eat a balanced meal and be done with it. There's really a lot to it.
Right.
So I got that, and then I realized, because I still teach, I still write, but I was feeling at that point in my life like I needed some connection with other people. And, that was my peer group.
Yes.
And helping women just seemed like something I could do. And so I started a Facebook group called Eating Habits Lab, and I coach people through that vehicle on just like what we were talking about, kind of practical, everyday things that people can do to level up their eating habits. And I teach them how to work on behaviors that they choose.
Yeah.
So it's not, you must do this month. It's, here's what we're talking about this month. If this isn't of interest to you, then maybe next month's is. So it's, you get coached, but you choose what you're working on.
Okay. Yeah.
And the pace of how you want to work on it. So it's very individualized, but it's supposed to be. Otherwise, doesn't work. Right?
And it sounds like too, I mean, I really like something you said about, people having choice.
Yeah.
Like giving people choice on, this resonates with me, so I'm going to spend some time working on this. This doesn't necessarily interest me, but I'm going to continue and move on and move forward. And also, I really like what you said. I was thinking about a target, and how that the center of the target is food, but the whole outside of a target is
So it's
everything
around.
else.
Yeah.
And how that's so important around eating, because we do spend a lot of time and energy and stress around food that is needless. And even something I say in the book, and when I'm talking to audiences about the book, I talk a lot about, Eat, Move, Groove may help you have a foundation with flexibility. You choose foods you like to eat. You choose kind of how and when you like to eat them. It gives you sort of a way to think about balance, but not telling you have to eat this at this time. And I see a lot of that stress and struggle right now with intermittent fasting, where people are thinking, I've got to stop at a certain time. I can't start eating till a certain time. And it may be a positive for some people, but I think for some people that's adding extra stress to their eating too, with some of the time restriction that may be needless for many people.
Yeah. Well, any plan, whether it's intermittent fasting or anything, any plan that is overly prescriptive is temporary just by its nature, because we're humans, and we can't follow something like that forever unless we have flexibility with it. So I'm purposely not super prescriptive, but also my focus and what interests me the most, I should say what interests me the most, is coaching women and helping and supporting them as they figure out new behaviors for themselves that actually work in their own lifestyle versus what I think works for me might not work for you, So I give a lot of options. I give a ton of ideas. I do a live every Friday at lunchtime called Friday Lunchtime Live. We're very creative.
Yeah.
And it has different themes and ideas, but every one of them is packed with options, because something will appeal to you if that topic is of interest, if that is something you need to work on. For example, like if we're talking about hydration in 1 month, then I'll have 4 different lives, each covering different aspects of hydration, but within each one will be multiple ideas for, how to make your water taste better. The next one might be how to make sure you get enough water. What can you tie your new water drinking habit to? How to create new habits is something that is super interesting to me. And at the same time as you're creating a new one, you're probably trying to get rid of one.
Right. That's
So we
exactly
can't,
right.
we can't just say, oh, let's make all these new habits. You got to get rid of something. So you're basically swapping in a behavior for something you don't want or that's not working that well. You might have tried something. Maybe it was something prescriptive and you're like, I kind of liked it, but I didn't like this aspect. And you feel like, well, it's not for me. Well, it might be for you. Just swap out one or two aspects and see how it goes. So,
yeah. And I think the idea of food displacement, or, I mean, it's kind of not necessarily a positive word, but the idea of, like you said, when we start thinking about, for example, adding some fruits and vegetables that maybe we've liked, but we haven't eaten for a while, or we've just kind of forgotten about, or maybe it's something like canned peaches that we thought, oh, maybe someone thought they shouldn't eat something that's canned, but actually canned is fine. When we do eat some of these foods that we bring into our plan, then often some other things go on the wayside, like you said, and we kind of displace that, which is good. And the habits are critical, and habit stacking, and I really like that
all
idea.
the different techniques you can use. There are many.
Yes.
And some of them aren't going to appeal, some aren't going to work in your life, but something will. So my whole thing for like my approach has the acronym EAT. So I love EAT and Move Group.
Yes.
So EAT stands for evaluate, automate, and tweak. So the T actually has track and tweak. But tracking can look like a lot of different things. It can look like checking something off on your calendar. It doesn't have to look like using an app where you write down everything you put in your mouth. It may look that way for you, but it may not. So the evaluate, but what comes before evaluate, automate, and tweak, you have to assess. So you kind of have to know what you're already doing. And this is like the very fundamental beginning. And people often skip that because they think it's boring. They'll be like, yeah, I know what I do. Don't ask me what I do. Well, do you really? Because you might not. Maybe ask your partner.
Yeah, right.
Because they often know what you're doing that you're either not owning up to or can't remember or don't want to talk about. And they'll know.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But assessment, a self-assessment for whatever habit you're interested in is crucial. So that you have to start with that. So when I work with someone, like I do some one-on-one coaching as well, but even within the group, I talk to the women in the group and, I always talk about assessment and I always talk about tracking. And those are the two things that people resist. But without those two, you're not really creating a habit you're going to do for very long. You're once again falling into the rules area of how I should eat. And it's not individualized enough because you don't know where you're starting from and you're not keeping track. So, so you're in essence just forcing a different rule and calling it by something different. You're calling it a new habit, but it's not really tailored to you.
Yeah, I like that.
I think we're tired of that. At a certain age, you're kind of like, man, I've been doing this for 35 years and look where I am. Why do I have to start over every Monday? In fact, my post today was in the group was, it's a mindset thing we always do on Monday. And it was, basically about why when Monday comes along, you think you're starting over at square one again. You are not starting at square one. If you have lived it all and you're a woman, most likely, I mean, 99% of the time, you have tried to manipulate your diet in some way. It might be eating more for your sport, more protein, more water. It might be trying to lose weight. It might be you have a disease or a condition that you're eating for. But whatever it is, you're not at square one. You have your whole lifetime or the whole practice that you've put up. So let's stop saying, oh, I have to start over at square one again. It's Monday. No, this is just one of your stops on the road, part of your path. Reframing the way you think about how you eat is a big part of self-acceptance. And then the next step to that is realizing you don't have to sweat this stuff anymore. And I know your book talks about that too. It's like you get to that point where you're like, yep, I do know how to feed myself like a grown up now.
Yeah.
And that also comes with not feeling bad about whatever I'm eating. It's
Yes.
not helping me, right? Or how long it's taken me.
Yes.
A lot of women are like, it's taking me forever to lose 10 pounds. So what? Is it a contest? Is someone keeping your time? You know, what does it matter that much? You know, so being okay with a lot of those steps along the way is a lot of what I work with people, because women are hard on themselves.
Yes. Yes. I agree with that. And I think, you know, I think one of the shifts that I'm really encouraging women to consider or think about is, instead of perhaps worrying so much about weight and the scale, thinking more about, how are you powerful? You know, what can your body do for you? And particularly strengthening, you know, really, really focusing on the strengthening and the balance, and even thinking about, yeah, I'm moving. Can I move in a way that I feel more powerful and I feel stronger? Because I just feel like that gives us so much positive feedback. And when we feel stronger and more capable, we feel better and more confident. Therefore, I think that really helps a lot of women I work with to move ahead with, oh, yeah, I really do want to eat a little more fruit, or I do want to do this, or because I feel good.
That's so important. I'm glad you said that, because I think exactly the same thing. And I talk about it a lot. When I'm coaching people, I frequently, invariably people want to lose weight. Let's just put it out there, right? That's what most women are looking for. But two things. One, I started going to a trainer many years ago. And the first thing the trainer asks you when you walk in, and he trained people out of his house, and he'd say, okay, what's your main purpose for being here? And I said, I want to be stronger. And he's like, oh, thank God you didn't say lose weight.
Yeah.
And I said, well, that would be nice if it comes along with it. But that's not what I was there for. And I had worked out with weights in high school because I was not athletic. I couldn't play any sports. I was a ballet dancer. I could play tennis, but I was bad and I wasn't competitive. And even my mother was like, I'm not putting you in any more tournaments because you don't care if you win. I'm basically just like hitting the ball back and forth. So I liked to do weight training.
Yeah.
And I would go work out in the weight room at the tennis club while my sister got her private lessons and whatnot. And I loved all of that. And so in my basement here, I have workout. I have a rowing machine. I have all kinds of stuff. I have my TRX straps and my kettlebells and stuff. But, I encourage women to do some small amount of weight work if they've never done any. In addition, after they've started doing their eating changes. And usually I say, do you have any 5-pound or 10-pound weights? And I said, 5 pounds is what you should start with. If they've never done anything.
Right.
And they're like, I don't like that kind of thing. And I said, do you know if you do or not? Because it feels amazing to see how strong you can get.
Right.
And I'm like, put them in your kitchen. Like we're kind of in my dining room, but my kitchen's right here.
Yeah.
And I that's where I kept mine when I was in high school. So that when I was like hanging out, talking to my mom or watching the news or whatever, I would do my arm weights. That's all I did. But boy, oh boy, I got strong after a few months. And I'm telling all of my coaching clients, get your arm weights, because once you start taking better care of yourself in one way, you know this, then you want to start doing better in a different way. And those two things, feeling strong, even if you're just a little bit stronger, and then watching what you're putting into your body for fuel, there's something about those two things together, I think.
Yes.
Much more so to me than cardio, honestly.
Right. I think that combination of feeling your muscle, seeing your muscle, and of course, as women, we're not going to get big unless we're training to do that, which is what most of us are not going to be doing. But we can notice, I always tell women, it's really more how compact your muscle is. And that's something we can feel when we're doing some type of strength training, whatever it might be. So I do think that is so helpful. And it's another positive way to do something for ourselves, and in the book, I talk about the 2-minute miracle and taking 2 minutes the night before the next day to think about, oh, how might I want to move? Do I need anything to be available? Do I need my shoes out? Or maybe I'll put those weights in my kitchen. Like you say, it's a great idea. Could I put some fruit on the table? Am I thinking about some proteins I might have available for tomorrow? So just those 2 minutes is also positive because then you've taken a minute or two to focus on your well-being before you go to bed. And I think that is a positive way to go to sleep and to know that you're getting ready for the next day. And I don't think these things have to take too long, but particularly for women too, it's saying you have the permission to do something for yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
To take care of yourself.
Yes, yes. Agreed. In my group last month, we had self-care as our theme. And I remember a little bit of comments, why is this our theme? That's not about eating. I'm like, it absolutely can be about eating, but it doesn't have to be. It can be everything else too.
Right.
And really, you define what self-care is. Bubble baths might not be your thing. And honestly, those don't do all that much. I love a good bath, but there's way more to self-care than that stuff. And so, yeah, I agree with you that taking time to think about what's going to suit me best, what's going to suit my day tomorrow, what is it I need? That's priceless, really.
Right.
And a lot of people might still have kids in the house or might have grandchildren or whatnot, others they're taking care of, but that doesn't mean you sacrifice yourself. That's not why you're on the planet.
Right.
To sacrifice yourself for everyone. It's, so it's not selfish. And if you don't do it, you're going to regret it probably at some point. You're going to look back and say, geez, I wasted a lot of time not taking care of myself. And it really doesn't take that long.
I think especially when women get in their 40s and 50s and 60s and start to reflect more and think about, wow, okay, I better, or not necessarily I better, but I'd like to put a little more energy into taking care of myself because whether I've been busy with work or kids or family or whatever it might be, it's nice to be able to kind of stop and say, yeah, this is good.
Yeah. And it's interesting that it always happens at a certain age, but it makes sense that it does. And when you said I better, I instantly knew you were going to catch that because that word or should or I better, I should.
Right.
And it always really is, no, you get to. You're still here. And if you're still healthy enough to do any of this stuff, then you get to do it. Why would you not? You're lucky enough that you can do this. So probably should be doing it. Just if nothing else, just to try it.
Right. So how do women get into your group or get in touch with you or what's the way to do that?
Yeah. So the group it's just a Facebook group, but it is private. And interestingly, I wanted to grow the group and I this past couple of months, I asked the group if they wanted to stay private or if they would mind if I started a new group, invited them all into it and had a public group. Because once you have a private group, you can't then make it public.
Oh, okay.
Because those people signed up on the basis of it being private.
Yes, that makes sense.
So even Facebook won't let you do that. Yeah. So they, I did some soul searching, but I listened to them and they really wanted it private. And they all said, we'll follow you no matter what, because we like your content, but I won't talk as much if it's not private, if every person can see it.
Right.
And, because it's private, I vet every single person that comes in and, there have been men who wanted to come in and I decided, and I put it right in, it's called Eating Habits Lab for Women.
Okay.
So it's obvious. And so now there aren't that many men that want to be in it, but not that men don't care about the same topics or need the same information. They do, but I don't relate that well. My examples are all from a woman's perspective, and I just thought this isn't going to be that interesting to them, so they can have their own group somewhere. And I hope they do. But so it's just Eating Habits Lab Facebook group, and then I do through that offer some coaching directly, and I have like in the winter I had something called Assess and Progress. So I did a mini assessment for everyone that signed up, and literally it was $20.
Yeah.
So for $20 you got an assessment and a little mini plan.
Okay.
And
nice.
so a lot of people that were like, I don't know if I like this kind of thing, or I don't want to make a big investment. $20. I mean, these days you can spend $20 on practically nothing.
Right.
And here you've gotten a professional assessment of your eating behaviors and what you think you want to work on.
That's
and
fantastic.
Stuff. So it was really fun. So I do offer those kinds of things. So I do have eatinghabitslab.com.
Okay.
Goes to my big website, and then you can just click on the Eating Habits Lab tab. But really the first place to come is the Facebook group, so you can see for free kind of how it is.
Yeah.
And you can take part in our challenges. We have challenges at least every quarter that are free, and they're like little easy to do, but like there's a little bit of accountability built in. There's some public group pressure, which sometimes helps. There's fun, and I give prizes.
Oh, that's
at the
fun.
challenges,
That's
so
fun.
people win stuff. It's just really fun. We have a fun time, and there's literally less than 300 women in it, so you feel like you kind of know everyone.
Yeah,
it's a good time. But I'd love some new members.
Yeah,
anybody's welcome.
So anybody in the audience could get on, look at the Facebook group, and then message you through there. Is that how it happens? Like you say, vetting?
Yeah, when you're on Facebook and you go to the groups and you can just browse, you can type in Eating Habits Lab.
Yes.
And it'll come up. And if you click on that, it'll, you'll click through, it'll take you through, and it'll say, answer these 3 questions.
Yes.
Those questions are there because it's a private group.
Yes.
If it were a public group, you would click on it and then you'd automatically see the group.
Right.
This way, you have to wait till I look at you.
Yeah.
And I do look at everyone.
Yeah.
And so I can look at your, your profile and kind of,
see if it's an appropriate fit.
I mean, this is for your general woman who's looking to just do a little bit better with their eating.
Great.
That's
well, I
really
mean, I think it would be a wonderful support. And
it is.
I imagine some folks in my audience, some women in my audience, will really take a look and enjoy.
I hope so. I can't wait
exploring.
To meet yeah. And we're going to have Susie in too.
Yes, I am going to be in
soon.
And be part of it.
I don't know when. We'll have to schedule it, but soon.
We'll figure that out. And
we'll have a shared live, so you'll see each of us. And
perfect.
I'll be doing an interview with you.
Yes.
And I've done that a few times. I've had a one maybe last year for my friend's menopause diet book. And that was a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
Answered a lot of questions. We got questions ahead of time so that she knew what people were interested in, and we'll do the same for you.
I would love to do that. And
a lot of fun.
I appreciate all the work you've done through the years and all the writing. That's been amazing. You're such an incredible writer.
Thank you.
And it's always so fun to read what you have written. And I think it's also very consumer positive and consumer friendly.
Yes.
And I really appreciate that. And earlier today, we were out at your beautiful garden, and we were picking little cherry tomatoes, grapes. We were eating fresh apples. Oh boy, we were having fun at the garden, and it's so lovely. And so it's so fun to see when you post about fresh food and everything you're doing here in your beautiful kitchen, because now I get to be up here and see your garden and your lovely home. So it's
Maine is a beautiful state. If you've never been here, you should visit.
Yes.
I'm glad you're up here.
Yes.
And we're going to eat some lobster.
We're going to have lobster and all kinds of veggies from your garden tonight, which is making me very hungry right now. I'm tuning into my hunger cues right now. So I think we're going to go eat. But thank you so much. I really appreciate being part of this podcast, and it's been lovely being here.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You bet.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening to the Eat, Move, Groove podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And don't forget to connect with me and join our Eat, Move, Groove movement at Eat, Move, Groove on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. See you next time.